This is the second part of day 9 of the testimony in the Karen Read case. I'm covering Kate McLaughlin and Lieutenant Gallagher, whose first name I have written down someplace in my notes, but to be honest with you, I don't care enough about him to go look. So Gallagher is what I'm calling him. Kate McLaughlin's up first. She's the female EMT we've heard so much about. Jen McCabe told us that Karen said, I hit him 3 times in front of the female EMT. So this is Kate now coming in to corroborate that. So Kate says, yes, she was following Karen around trying to get some vitals on John. What's his name, date of birth, is he on any medications, basic stuff. That's all understandable. She says Karen's really frantic. She's having a hard time getting answers out of her. So we get to that point in the dashboard cam that we've seen that video a couple times already, where they're all kind of 4 standing together, right? So it's Kate, it's Jen McCabe, it's Karen Read, and Officer Seraph. They're all standing there. And Kate says that Karen says, I hit him. She says it twice, and then Jen interrupts her. And it's like, Karen, stop talking. Stop saying that. No. And Jen kind of interrupts her to kind of derail the conversation. And then Kate says, and then she said it 2 more times, I hit him. Now, for starters, Katie, you went off script. You went 4 times instead of 3. You know better. But I think my next question would have been, what was the officer's reaction? Did he immediately start reading her rights? Did he put her in handcuffs? Did he take her to the car? Because it's a confession, right? You thought of it as a confession. You're testifying that she said she did it. That's as good as a confession. What did the officer do? Oh, he called somebody else over? Oh, he went to go get somebody else? What'd that guy do? Did he read her rights? Did he handcuff her? Did he put her in the car? No? Did any officer do that night? Like, it's clear that none of the officers took anything that Karen Read was saying as a confession. But what's more is that Katie testifies that she then went back to the ambulance, Nettles and Flamati, who were in the ambulance working on John, that she went back to give the vitals. Male, this height, this weight, this date of birth, no medications, blah, blah, blah. Oh, and by the way, the girlfriend's out here saying she hit him. I'm paraphrasing, but you know what I mean. Nettles testified earlier that he heard Karen say it 3 times. He was very clear, 3 times. Nettles said he heard it himself. So now we've got a conflict, and Flamati hasn't testified yet. So we got to see what happens there. Now, those of us who watched the first trial, we know that Kate and Caitlin Albert are, I wouldn't say BFFs, but they run in the same friend group. And like, if you even went on Facebook and those places, there was a ton of pictures of them together over the years. They've known each other since they were little children. It's a very small town. So they all know each other. And she did not disclose this. She was asked in the first trial, how do you know Caitlin Albert? And she kind of was like, yeah, well, like, basically, like, we went to the same high school. Basically, like, I don't know her. And then it kind of came up that all this shit was going on. So essentially, all Jackson was trying to do was to get Kate to admit that this friendship was a little bit more than she'd ever claimed it was before, and that perhaps she has loyalty to the Albert family, just like everybody else does, and that's why she's testifying the way she is. Now, there's one thing that just rattled around in my brain, because I'm always suspicious of Jen McCabe. Karen says, I hit her twice, and then Jen interrupts. But why would Jen interrupt? If Karen is basically like sealing her own grave, why would you stop her from talking? And my thought is that the story was going to be the snowplow. The original story was, I wonder if he got hit by a snowplow, because I would think that is where everybody's head automatically goes. The plows are out. It's a big blizzard. They find a guy in a pile of snow with hypothermia. He must have gotten hit by a plow. That was probably supposed to be the story. So when Karen's running around going, did I do this? Oh my God, am I responsible? Did I hit him? What if I hit him? Jen's like, shut up, Karen. And she's probably not doing it to protect Karen. She's doing it to protect their fucking story. And so she's trying to stop Karen from talking and giving the police any other ideas, because the police probably would have just presumed, they're waiting for the right time to say, I wonder if it was a snowplow. And then all the police would have gone away with the snowplow story. But Karen keeps talking. So I really do, and this is just my hypothetical, but I really do think that they were going to go with the snowplow story. They're all sitting at the dining room table inside the Albert home. And Jen's like, fucking Karen wouldn't shut up, man. She's like, did I do it? And all of a sudden the guys are like, well, there's our alibi. Karen was so damn drunk last night. She could we say they were fighting and she just hit him? And I think that's where it begins. And I don't like Jen McCabe any more than anybody else does, but I'd love to think there was a moment where she's like, are you sure we're going to frame Karen? And they were like, go do it. Make a phone call. And that's when it started. And I think that's why none of their stories are good, because I don't think it was the original story. I don't think Karen was the original story. I think the snowplow was the original story, in my I have nothing to prove this. I'm just bullshitting. But I think the snowplow was going to be the easiest, simplest story because the snowplow can't argue with you. And they're not going to prosecute a snowplow driver if it was an accident. They're just not. So it probably never would have come to this. They wouldn't have needed any more of a story. Just be like, must have gotten hit by a plow and case closed. But Karen won't stop talking. Karen's fighting back. Karen's getting a lawyer. And now they're all having to wind this tale. And that's why they're all freaking out and doing it so poorly. Again, just my theory. But let's talk about Lieutenant Gallagher. All along, I have laughed and I'm like, seriously, leaf blower? But to hear this guy on the stand, and when Brendan was questioning him, I was looking at him and I was like, maybe I should cut this guy some slack. He was so earnest when he was talking about the leaf blower. I'm watching the videos and I'm thinking, is it doing anything? And he's like, it worked better than we thought. I'm like, okay. Like, I'm not seeing it. But he was so proud of himself. It's like this guy invented penicillin. He's so thrilled with this brilliant idea that he had. And he's so earnest about it. It was hard it's hard to knock him. I was like, okay, whatever. You're doing the best you can. He was the one that got the red Solo cups. And again, if you're going to walk across the street to the house, Deputy Chief of Police, he said, well, they were plastic and I knew that the liquid wouldn't drain out and they would be liquid. I needed to collect it somehow. Again, I would have probably opted for something that had a lid, something that's sealed like a plastic bag. I would have opted for something else, but I'm not the, head officer at the scene. The part that's interesting is that the Canton police sort of played a little game of telephone. So there's a point where he's asked, so when the other teams come and they're going to do like a much bigger investigation of the area, you were the one that went there and told them where John O'Keefe's body was. And he's like, yep. How did you know that, Officer Gallagher? Because you weren't there. Like, by the time you got there, John was already removed. Oh, well, Lank told me. But when Lank got there, John O'Keefe was already removed. Oh, well, someone must have told Lank. So the very first cop goes, this was about the area he was found in. And then every other officer just goes, okay. And that's the story that they keep telling all along, relying on the first officer's recollection in the dark, in the snow, but they're all considering a very chaotic scene. They're counting on that officer's recollection and everybody else is passing along as if it's their own. Here's the other part I love is that, Gallagher he's very proud of his performance that day. And he's saying, well, I made the decision to go get the red Solo cups. I was the one that did this. I took it upon myself to search the scene because I knew the state wasn't coming anytime soon. We put up crime tape. We did this. So he's talking like he is head man in charge. But he didn't write down a fucking thing. And that's what he was called. And they're like, why didn't you write a report? He's like, he's basically like, baby, I'm above that pay grade. I don't write reports. But all of my officers do. So I count on all the officers to account their stories. But then you must not have looked at them because those early reports were for shit. In one of them, Brian Albert's name, I think they just used B. Albert. I don't think they used his full name. And another one, I think the address was wrong. I don't think they used 34 Fairview. I think there was a phone number wrong. There was all these things that were incorrect or maybe willfully incorrect in those early reports. And that is what the Canton police audit said. That audit talked about how pitiful their reporting was and that the head lieutenant at any death scene needs to be the one who reviews every single person's report for accuracy. So he's so proud of himself that he's elevated to a level that he doesn't have to be bothered with reports and he makes sure his men do it. But his men did a shitty job. So he's held accountable to those shitty reports. It might have been a slip up when they were asking him about the leaf blower and they're like, why use a leaf blower? Why not use a shovel? And he's like, well, I didn't want to disturb anything. And they're like, what? Like what could you have harmed or what could have caused problems? He's like, well, what if there was like a piece of glass in there? And I'm thinking, why would you think there would be a piece of glass in a pile of snow next to a dead man's body in the middle of someone's yard? What would make you think there's glass? It was almost as if he knew to be looking for a bar glass. I don't know. Feels weird. If you're new to this, get ready. This is the first of many shitty cops they're going to put on a stand.